And I'm Cyrus, your Pampered Chef Independent Consultant. And this is a very special night because I have a good friend. We've known each other for quite some time. This is Tiara Jocelyn, live from Las Vegas, which doesn't
Yay!
that sound glamorous and exciting? And I'm live from Memphis, which is not nearly as exciting. But so Tiara has a fantastic page called There and Bake Again, where Tiara shares different recipes and shows you how to bake. Tiara, tell us a little bit about your page.
It's actually pretty brand new. I only started about a week ago. I am an avid home baker, and for a while I've been thinking, oh, wouldn't it be fun to make some baking tutorials? Because a lot of times when you go online and you look at different baking tutorials, or you see stuff like in Facebook and it's like, oh, here's my tasty video of how to easily make this. They don't show you they just kind of say, here's the ingredients, snap. And then suddenly it's like all mixed together and stuff. And it kind of misses all of the, how to actually do it. So I thought I would do that. And my husband described my first video as relaxing like Bob Ross, but with baking instead of painting. So I'll take that.
And I will co-sign on that statement. I mean, it certainly is very relaxing to watch you. I watched that the Japanese souffle cheesecake, and the whole time I thought, wow, this is surprisingly relaxing. And with the title, because I'm not a baker, but with the title, I thought, oh, well, this is going to be very complicated. So I'm going to sit and watch TR make something really crazy. But then as I was watching, I thought, oh, well, you're very relatable and you made it very easy to understand. And I thought, well, I could do this.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. So I hope to have more stuff out soon. I have 2 videos up now. It's my goal to do stuff that is both beginner friendly and like intermediate. I mean, I've been baking since I was a kid, with my mom. My mom was always in the kitchen and I was always helping her, but I'm not like a professional or anything. So I don't want to say this is professional level or expert level, but I want to do stuff that's, different levels for different people who are just starting out baking, because, everybody else is baking. So why don't I bake too? And I even have, my latest video is an easy no knead bread, which is, kneading is the hardest part of making bread, honestly. And so it's a very simple beginner recipe that anybody can do.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll get started. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to step off camera and I'm going to preheat my oven to 350 because it's too hot to do that ahead of time because it's Las Vegas.
Yeah, I agree. Even outside of Las Vegas and Memphis right now is hot and humid, and we try to wait until the dusk at least to start the oven.
Right. Okay, so today we're going to be making a berry lemon ricotta cake. So Cyrus, one thing that I love about you as a pampered chef, consultant, is that whenever you buy something through you or one of your parties, you send like all of these like little recipes, and they have like the little things for the binder, and it's so nice. And so when I bought this covered baker, which the cover is not here obviously, you sent me this recipe for the berry lemon ricotta cake. And I tried, it took me forever, but I finally tried it and I loved it. And it's like Dan's favorite. It's my husband's favorite. So
you're welcome, Dan.
So, we try to make it all, I make it often, but because we're doing this weeknight style, instead of doing the covered baker, which takes about an hour for it to bake, I'm going to be using this mini loaf pan, which I also love. I make a lot of things with this, and because that cuts down the baking time to about 20 to 25 minutes, which is, a lot more manageable on weeknights.
That's a really good tip.
Yeah. And it's nice portion sizes too, so then you don't have to, cut into a big loaf, or you can say, oh, I'm just going to grab one of these real quick on my way out the door, or, whatever. Sorry, my dog is right behind me. He just had cataract surgery, so he's got the big cone on him, and he's like shaking it. Okay, so let's go through the ingredients real quick. So I have 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour, and this is my, what do you call this, Cyrus?
That's the measure-all cup.
The measure-all cup. I love this thing because it's got wet and dry ingredients, and you can measure just up to 2 cups, I believe.
Yeah.
And It's really nice. So I've got 1.5 cups of flour here. I've got a teaspoon of baking powder and a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. I have a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I have 2 eggs. I have a lemon. Ricotta cheese. This is full fat ricotta cheese. After I go through all this, I'm going to tell you some variations. I've made probably about a dozen different variations of this based on whether or not I was on Weight Watchers or trying different stuff. So we've got a 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and then 1/2 cup of maple syrup. So, and of course, the most important part is the raspberries. So the recipe calls for 6 ounces. This is 12 ounces because I bought a big container of them and washed them all at once. And also, I can't stop eating them, so I knew I needed to have extra. So, and then optionally, I have a pure lemon extract. But if you're going to use extract, you don't want to use a lot of extract. Very little bit goes a long way. So, Cyrus, when we were talking the other day, you had asked me for some baking tips since you do more cooking than baking. So I think my 2 biggest pieces of advice are to read through the entire recipe before you start. Don't say, okay, I'm going to make this, and then I'm going to wing it as I go, and I'm going to read, And also on this, kind of in the same way, you want to try to measure out as much stuff as you can before you start. That way you're not running and looking down and suddenly it says add a 1/4 teaspoon, or add the vanilla, and then you're like, how much vanilla do I add? A 1/4 teaspoon? Where's the vanilla? So having everything, I like to measure most things except for like liquids, like the maple syrup and stuff I haven't measured. But like the things like flour and sugar and stuff like that are good to measure out beforehand, because then you can just look at the recipe, pour it right in, and be ready to go. So
I love that. Great. That's a great info. And actually, I was noticing when you were going through and showing ingredients, I thought, oh wow, she's already measured everything out. That's very helpful.
Yes, yes. I do like to measure everything, almost everything out. I've left a couple of things because I'm going to do it to show you how it's done. But and then also like the maple syrup, I just pulled out of the fridge. So speaking of which, so if you want this to have less sugar content, you can actually use like sugar-free pancake syrup in place of the maple syrup. It gives it a little bit less of the mapley taste, but it still works, and it's a good sugar substitute. And if you want it to be less fat, you can use 2% ricotta cheese, but I would not go fat-free because the more fat that's in the ricotta is the more moisture. So when you go fat-free, it takes a lot of the moisture out and it becomes more bready than cakey, and you don't really want that.
Oh, that's a good tip too.
Yeah, like I said, I've tried several different variations, just to kind of tweak it and see. So this is mostly the original recipe plus a few added things that I do.
Oh, cool. So we got Maria Dominguez on as well. She's one of my friends from California. Hi, Maria.
Hi, Maria.
Hey, Maria. Hey,
hey girl.
So also one thing I'm curious about, as you bring in the different ingredients, especially since I don't bake, are you super loyal to certain brands? Like, for example, I don't know if we are using flour.
Yes.
I don't know. Okay, I know nothing. But I know some folks are a huge fan of is it King Arthur flour?
Yes. King Arthur flour is the flour that I use, and like when it was hard to find, it was miserable. It was, it was so hard, and I wound up buying like some like store brand flour, and I was like, no, this is terrible. So yeah, as soon as like King Arthur was like, we have bags of flour for sale, I was like, buy. I don't like usually I'm one of those like cheapos who's like, oh, my cart is $45 and it's $50 for free shipping. I guess I have to buy more stuff. But no, I just bought the flour. I was like, I'll pay the shipping. That's how desperate I am for this flour. Anyways, okay, so let us start. So I'm going to combine the dry ingredients first in a medium-sized bowl. I've got the flour and the salt, the baking soda, and the baking powder. And I'm just going to give it a quick whisk with my lovely Pampered Chef whisk. I love this whisk, by the way. This is way better than my KitchenAid whisk. I don't know. It's different. It's slightly different shaped.
I like the weight of it.
Yeah, the weight is nice too. The oven is preheated now.
That was really fast.
Yeah. I like the oven in this house. It's pretty nice, and the temperature is actually like really close to the actual temperature, because you know sometimes ovens can have, you know, it'll say 300 but it'll actually be like 350 or something. But yeah, so I'm mixing all of the dry ingredients together. Because you don't, especially like with baking powder and baking soda, you don't want clumps, because you will definitely taste that. You'll like bite into something and you'll be like, oh my God, this is a clump of baking powder. It's disgusting. So you don't want that. You don't want that at all. All right. So now I'll measure out the maple syrup. So I'm gonna, in a larger bowl, I'm putting all of the wet ingredients.
Are you very particular? I know you've made this a number of times. Are you particular about what maple syrup you get?
This is Maple Grove Farms. It's not super fancy. I don't remember where I got this. I think it might have been like Cost Plus or something, which is, you know, one of those stores that's fun to go into and you're like, ooh, what's this? Ooh, what's that? So what I like about this measuring tool as well is that it has like the ounces and everything right next to it. So it's easy to read if you're measuring something by ounces instead of by cups.
Mm-hmm.
And oh, I just noticed it has tablespoons and mLs and milliliters over on the other side too. So, all right.
Sydney has a question. So, and actually, when you mentioned that some ovens, you know, might not be accurate for the temperature, and baking is a science, so the temperature matters. So Sydney asked if you happen to know a good way for someone to test if their oven temperature is accurate or not, because I actually don't know.
Yeah, so I mean, for like $7 from Amazon or another online retailer, you can buy an oven thermometer.
Oh, wow.
And that'll help you really gauge how accurate your oven is. So the oven in the old house that we used to live in when we were back in Virginia, the oven was like 50, they're usually not more than like 5 or 10 degrees off. So like when I said like 300 or 350, that was like an exaggeration.
Yeah.
But our oven in Arlington was super old. I have no idea how old it was. It was probably older than us.
1805.
Might as well have been. But it was almost 20 degrees off. And so like I couldn't figure out like why are things burning, you know? And so I wound up because it's, you know, I'm baking cookies and I'm doing it for 8 minutes and they're coming out like, you know, the bottom's blackened or whatever. But yes, for under $10, you can get an oven thermometer and just stick it in on one side, and like you can read that and you can see like how accurate your oven is, and that's a big help, and that's definitely something else I suggest having.
That's really cool. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna do that too. So Dan says that Janet, I'm probably gonna say this wrong. Janet Glazer Younts just commented on the There and Bake Again page, and she says hi.
Oh, hi
Janet. Hi Janet.
All right, so get my eggs now. When you're cracking eggs, just give it a very light tap. Don't smash it, because if you go full force, like you're super angry at it, like the copier from you know, if you do that, it's gonna get eggshells in it. But if you just give it a light tap and then you kind of use your fingers to kind of press in where you cracked it and then separate it, that'll work much better. All right. I've got another measuring spoon from Pampered Chef. I like this as well. What is this called, Cyrus?
Oh, it's probably the adjustable measuring
Yes,
spoon. There's
adjustable
two different
measuring spoon.
sizes.
Yes, I have both sizes, but I don't need the larger one right now, so I'm just using the smaller one. So do 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla extract.
Do you just because I'm curious, do you ever use imitation, or do you only ever get like the real thing?
It's both.
I know there's
Honest,
a big price difference in the two.
yeah, there's a big price difference, but
Probably for good reason.
yeah, I think the actual vanilla bean extract tastes better, and the artificial, because it's artificial, has a little bit of a chemical taste, but you can't really. I mean, most people can't really tell the difference, but I mean, this bottle was cheap at Costco, so I was like, pure vanilla, yay! All right, and then this is the pure lemon extract, and like I said, just a little bit. I'm only putting a 1/4 teaspoon in. So the recipe that you had sent me originally just had the lemon in the glaze, and I like the lemon in the cake too, because it gives it like like a nice little zest to it, is a brightness because of the citrus flavor, and a little bit of the lemon extract will help with that. And
That's a good idea.
I'm going to measure the ricotta by weight, because I find it easier to do it this way. So the recipe is for 1 cup of whole milk ricotta. And basically what I did was I did the math. So I said, okay, this is 1/4 cup is this many grams. So it comes out to 250 grams for a whole cup.
I love ricotta.
It's so good. I used to not like it like when I was younger, but it's grown on me.
Oh, we got Greg Hollis on. Hey, Greg. Hey, Greg, we're making berry ricotta cakes today.
Okay. And then my last wet ingredient is going to be lemon zest. So again, because for the glaze, we're going to use the lemon juice and some powdered sugar. But if you're going to use a lemon anyways, you might as well use the zest, because again, it adds that extra layer of flavor.
Mm-hmm.
This is also a Pampered Chef.
Yeah, that's the microplane zester. And if anybody is familiar at all with the microplane brand of blade, it's a fantastic, very, very sharp blade.
It is very, very sharp. I accidentally almost like zested my thumbnail one time, so don't do that. Don't do that. Thankfully, I caught myself as I was doing it, and there was like no like bleeding or lost fingers or anything. But it is very sharp. It's very good though. I really like it. This is a smallish size lemon, so I'm going to zest the whole thing here.
So when you started, you said you started baking when you were a lot younger with family. So when was the first time you remember using zest for a recipe? Because for me, it wasn't until I was in my adult years, and then I thought, oh wow, that sounds fancy.
Yeah. I don't really remember using zest too much as a kid. Sometimes when we would make like sugar cookies, I think my mom would put like lemon zest in there, but otherwise not too much. So, all right. So I've got all my wet ingredients in here, and I'm just gonna whisk them together. Normally what I would do is I would use either the stand mixer or a hand mixer, but I can't reach my mute button right now, and I'm not going to force you to listen to, So.
And everybody, don't you love Tiara's apron? I love it.
Thank you.
It's so fun.
So I'm just whisking this to get all of the lumps out until it's nice and smooth.
So that's a good idea. So you put all of your dry ingredients together, you whisk them together, and then you did separately in another bowl all your wet ingredients, and then you're whisking all those ingredients together.
Yeah,
And if we don't do that, you said it could get kind of clumpy. So that's a good
right.
tip.
Yeah, especially when you with the dry ingredients, you don't want there to be like a little pocket of salt in one corner, or like I said, baking soda or anything. So whisking the salt and the baking soda and stuff into the flour really helps distribute it and keeps it from having that problem. All right, so now I'm going to take my dry ingredients and mix them in.
What other, have you tried using other berries too?
Yes, this goes really well with blueberries.
Ooh.
So, which I meant to do. Oops, I'm spilling. I meant to do that about a week ago, and then I forgot. And of course, the berries, by the time I remembered that I was going to do that, the berries were 1 half eaten, and then 2 like kind of not looking great. So
There's another recipe that well, clearly I don't really bake, but if I was going to, a recipe that keeps coming up is a strawberry blondie recipe. They're like little blondie brownies with fresh strawberry.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
So actually, what's funny is that the only reason I tried this recipe in the first place, I was like, oh, whatever, is because you kept messaging me and being like, hey, have you tried that berry ricotta for the covered baker yet? And, I was like, no, not yet. And finally I did it, and I am glad I did. So thank you for hounding me forever.
I was just curious about how good it was because it looks really good.
Right. No, it's very tasty. Okay, so you've got a pretty thick batter here, and that's because you don't have any like loose, or you don't really have any liquid other than the maple syrup, which I'm going to put the lid back on because I feel like I'm the type of person that will bump into something and knock it over.
Me too. I do that all the time.
All right. And then I've got the mini loaf tin. I'm just going to spray it with a little bit of nonstick baking spray. And I'll wipe the top off. And then this part is really easy. You just start spooning it in. So I'm not going to fill it to the top. I'm going to fill it about halfway. This will rise also, so you don't have
good to know.
If you fill it all the way to the top, it's going to go over, and you'll have some oddly shaped muffin top stuff going on. I don't think any of us need muffin tops right now.
I don't need another. I don't need another muffin top.
I'm already dealing with a muffin top here.
That probably would be great for gifts too. Are you a gift baker?
Yes. So a couple of times since we started doing the self-isolating and the quarantining and stuff, I've baked stuff, and then I've like brought it to somebody's door, and I've basically done like a doorbell ditch, like a ding dong ditch, where I'm like running away so that I'm not right next to the door, and like texting people, hey, I left this at your door.
That's so funny. But really, what a pleasant surprise too. Someone rang the doorbell. Oh, look at this! Look at this delicious treat.
Yeah.
Janet says she loves that loaf pan.
Yes, this loaf pan is amazing. So I also make banana bread in this a lot too. Mm-hmm. Just because it's nice to have the smaller portions, and like I said, it takes less time to bake than it does in like the larger pan.
Yeah, I'm all about trying to save some time, so I'm glad you shared that.
So if I was doing this in the covered, the deep dish covered baker, I would take the raspberries and I would mix them in, and then I would pour it in.
Okay.
But what I've found with using the mini loaf pan that works much better is to pour the batter in, and then to kind of push the raspberries into the top. And that way you can make sure there's like an equal amount of raspberries in each one, because you don't want like that one, you know how like sometimes you make chocolate chip cookies or something and there's that one that's like one chocolate chip and the rest of it, like, what kind of crap is that? So yeah.
That's unacceptable.
It's very unacceptable as far as I'm concerned. So I've got the dough or the batter inside of the mini loaves, and then I'm just gonna put in some raspberries. And like I said, the recipe calls for 6 ounces, but you can really as much as you want to do.
That's cool.
I'll usually put 4 or 5 raspberries in each loaf. So you've got a lot of fruit in there. And as I said, it's going to rise when it's baking, but the raspberries will still kind of be on top, so you can still see the fruit, and it gives it a really nice look too, I think. So just trying to finish this up.
Especially too, like if for me, if I was making, you know, what we say 8, there's 8 mini loaves, I would do that too. I'd want them all to be placed the same and the same number of raspberries on each one.
I mean, it's not fair to the other loaves if one has, you know, 4 and the rest have 5. We're equal opportunity bakers here.
So you see, I know. Go ahead.
What? No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, because you did mention a moment ago about Weight Watchers, and I've, you know, had my Weight Watchers journey as well. So with this version of it, with the full fat ricotta and everything, did you run the points before on this one?
I have, but I can't remember how many points it is, to be honest.
Okay. Well, I know, at least, you know, for well, blue and purple right now, the fruit's 0, so that's something to feel good about.
Yeah. I think I was doing green. I kind of fell off the wagon, but I need to start again. That's, you know, but it's also hard when you're doing a lot of baking stuff. So.
Yeah, I'm on the wagon. I just don't know where it's going.
All right. So I started out by putting 5, and then I started putting 6. So I've got to come back and fix these other 2. All right. So this is what they look like before they go into the oven. And then I'm just going to pop them in the oven, and I'll check on them in 20 minutes. It's usually 20 to 25 minutes.
Cool. That's pretty quick.
Yes. So that's a perfect way to have a fast, easy dessert on a weekday. And have plenty of leftovers for breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack, all of the meals.
All of them, yes.
So I think I'll go ahead and make the lemon drizzle while we're waiting for that to bake, and then I can let you do your thing because it's going to take 20 to 25 minutes.
Okay.
So I've got 3/4 of a cup of powdered sugar here. I'm not sure I'm going to use all of it. And I actually need to get another whisk because I use this whisk for other things already. It's my less favorite whisk. All right. My covered chef's knife. I'm not like, oh, here's all my pampered chef stuff, but like, it's so good. Like I just found out, you know, every time that you've done a show, I've been like, well, let me get 1 or 2 things, you know, and then it's slowly building up. So.
And then here we are.
Right. Here's me like doing my pampered chefs. Here's, I'm going to juice. This is a small lemon. So I don't know if I'm going to use the whole thing. I'm going to start with half.
Uh-huh. So are you just looking for like a consistency with the glaze?
Yes.
Okay.
And so I'm not going to pour all of the powdered sugar in directly because it really depends on how you like it. If you want if you want it to be like thick and gloopy, like kind of like on cinnamon rolls, you can do that. Or if you want it to be more of just a very soft glaze, you can make it thinner and it'll spread over without getting like too clumpy.
That's a good idea.
I'm going to say this is about a quarter of a cup that I've put in there. And I'm just going to whisk it together.
We got Sydney's mom watching. Willetta Campbell. Mama Willetta Campbell's on. Hi. We're making berry ricotta cakes. Mini loaves.
So this is still kind of very liquid, so I'm going to add some more powdered sugar because I like it to be a little less liquidy. I'm going to drop the whisk apparently. The one thing I don't like about powdered sugar is that no matter what you do, it's going to go everywhere.
Yeah, that's tough. Flour can be like that too.
Yeah. There's something special about powdered sugar where it's just like, hi, did you want your whole, it's like glitter. Did you want your whole kitchen covered in powdered sugar? Okay, so this is about, I would say this is, I'm not sure this is quite half a cup, but this is what I'm going to go with because this is kind of the consistency I like. We're still a little bit liquidy, but it's not like super liquid so that, it has a little bit of oomph to it, but it's not too overly sweet. So. All right, so it wasn't done at 20 minutes, so I put in an extra 5 minutes. I'm going to check on it now.
Cool, okay. I have a dog down here. See, look. Oh, it's doggy. It's Leah. Say hi, Leah. Oh, she's shy now.
I'm actually going to turn off the oven this time, which is something I often forget to do. I'll be like, it'll be after dinner and I'll just be like relaxing on the couch and Deanna will be like, do you still need this oven on? I'm like, oh, no. Here we go.
Oh, they look so good. Ooh.
Yes. So I'm actually going to grab a pair of tongs to pull them out just because the pan is hot and I don't want to, I've already burned myself this week because
oh no,
it wouldn't be Tiara cooking if I didn't burn myself, right?
Well, I've learned I can't have any alcoholic beverages until I'm done with all the sharp things.
Yes, I remember that giant picture of margaritas you made a couple of shows back. So
I used to just make a drink, but I'm like, well, if the pictures are so easy, why don't I always just start with the picture and go from there?
Right, exactly. Why not? So after 25 minutes, these are done. And it's basically the same kind of test that you can do with any cake is you take a toothpick, put it in the center. If it comes out clean, it's done. If it's still got some, if it pulls batter out, you know that it's not done because it's sticky still in the center.
They look so good.
They're they smell amazing. I wish Zoom needs a smell-o-vision
yes.
that.
Yeah, Zoom, get on it.
I'm gonna put this to the side real quick. So when you're doing it in the covered baker, you can just pour the lemon drizzle right on it, and like it'll soak it in. When you do the little loaves, I like to let them cool a little bit before I put the lemon drizzle on, just because otherwise it's just going to basically slide off. Since you don't have that cover, you don't have the stone baker to hold everything in. It kind of just slides off. But I'm not gonna put the lemon drizzle on now, but I'll tell you what I do when I do put the drizzle on. So usually they can still be warm when you put the drizzle on. It doesn't have to be completely cooled. But what I'll do is I'll get a baking sheet and put it underneath the wire rack.
Oh.
Because you're going to pour the drizzle over. And if you don't have something underneath, it's going to go all over your counter. You do it this way, then you'll have drizzle, the extra drizzle will run into the pan, and then you can just clean the pan. So.
Oh, that's such a good idea. See, I wouldn't have thought to do that.
It's live and learn, really. So, you do it one time and you're like, wow, there's all of this stuff all over my kitchen. So, yeah. And I mean, even a lot of the times if I'm feeling extra lazy, I'll line the baking sheet with tin foil, so I can just take the tin foil and throw it away and not even have to worry about washing anything.
That's another good tip. I like that. Yeah. So Sydney also says that they look so good.
Well, thank you. I'm very excited about them. They smell amazing. You can see they did rise, but all of the raspberries are still on top, and that gives them a nice, pretty look. And then when they're cooled down and you put the glaze on, they look really nice too. So then it's hard to resist eating all of them at once.
Mm-hmm. So for someone who hasn't had some sort of a ricotta cake before, because I have not, but I imagine that they might ask if the ricotta makes the cake creamy or cheesy at all. Or do you even notice that there was ricotta in there after it's baked?
You don't taste the ricotta when it's mixed in and it's baked, but it gives it a lot of moisture because ricotta is a very moist cheese. And also it makes it kind of a little bit dense. So kind of like a pound cake, but not quite as heavy.
Oh, that's good. Because I know I have done like a quick cake with sour cream before. And I want to say with yogurt as well. Or I have made like a quick pizza dough with yogurt, and it didn't taste yogurty,
right,
or like sour cream or whatever I used. So that's a good point that it's
yeah. So basically, the ricotta in this is taking the place of butter. So because you need some kind of fat in there, and that's why I said if you can use like reduced fat, but don't use non-fat. So you need some kind of fat in there for it to have moisture. Otherwise, it's going to be really dry, and you don't want that.
I like that. Yeah. So Willetta says, "Ooh, the glaze is yummy. I bet."
It's just lemon juice and powdered sugar. You can't go wrong with that.
So easy. And you know what? You just made that look so super easy. Just mix your wet ingredients, mix your dry ingredients, then bake it.
That's all it is. It's very easy. This is a great beginner level recipe because it's not complex at all. Like you said, you just mix your dry ingredients together, mix the wet ingredients together, mix them together, pop it in the tin, put it in the oven,
and then feed Dan.
Exactly.
So what do you have coming up on your so you've already posted now your so the Japanese souffle cheesecake, and you've posted the rustic no knead bread. What else do you have lined up or have you filmed some things already?
I haven't filmed anything else because we were on a little mini vacation where we kind of just self-isolated in a different place, so just for a change of scenery. But I've got some bananas that I forgot about on the counter, so I'm gonna try to do a zhuzhed up banana bread. And I just recently read a chocolate chip cookie recipe that had a couple of interesting things in it that I might try and see.
So cool. Well, I am very excited for everything coming up with your There in Bake Again. Everybody, if you are not following TR Jocelyn just yet, the page is There in Bake Again. You should see it here on the, it's on, I don't, well, how would they find it? Or do you just type There in Bake Again on Facebook?
Yeah, that's probably the easiest way. And then it's on Instagram, it's at There and Bake.
There and Bake. So I'm going to go to the There and Bake Again page, and then I'm going to do, how do I share? Copy link, and then I'm going to go to the video, and I'm going to put it here in the chat. So that's the link, facebook.com/thereandbake.
Yep.
Easy, that's easy.
Easy.
Yeah, so if you're looking,
yeah, I was just gonna say, I'm taking recommendations or suggestions for things to bake. So, you know, if there's something that you want to bake, macarons is on my list of things to make too.
Ooh.
My friend Janet, who I taught how to make macarons, she asked, can you please make a video to remind me how to make them? So that's on the list as well. But yeah, so if you have an idea of something that you want to learn how to bake, give me an idea, tell me, and I'll be happy to put it on the list of things to bake because I love baking. So.
Or like me, hound Tiara until she makes a specific recipe that you
right.
Yeah, so thank you everybody for coming and hanging out. Follow Tiara at facebook.com/thereandbake and Instagram thereandbake. And yeah, looking forward to seeing everybody later on in the week. All right, take care.
Thank you.
All right, bye everybody.
I'm just putting a lined baking pan underneath here so that any of the extra lemon drizzle goes into the pan and not onto the kitchen counter.